the Rikishi Fatu Off the Top podcast. Let's go. Rikishi Fatu, all y'all ready? We the ones. Keep it locked on the Rikishi Fatu podcast. Off the top. We gonna talk about everything wrestling, everything hip hop. Keep it locked. It's time to smarten up. Well, let's do this. We on.
Yeah. How you feeling, Big Kish?
We good. I'm good.
Yeah?
I'm excited. You know what I mean?
There's a lot going on.
We talked about, the new domain, you know what I mean? I can't wait to, what we talked about as far as giving the fans this new look we've been plotting for a minute, but, I ain't going to put out too many spoilers, as Paul Heyman would say.
Yep, that's right.
But it remains to be seen. You excited?
I'm very excited. I'm looking forward to it because I've been part of, I think, 2 location changes now, from Sun Valley to Van Nuys, so I'm excited to see what the third domain is going to look like. I believe it's the third domain.
We're back home in the Sun Valley
That's right,
area.
because Knox Pro started out in Burbank, which is where I do wrestling for Burbank right now. Burbank went to Sun Valley, and then you guys went to, I remember in the COVID area, you guys had another domain.
Right.
And then Van Nuys. So you guys, technically, your new domain is going to be your 5th domain. Is that correct?
Technically, I think so.
Okay, so either way,
I can't even remember yesterday.
Knox Pro is returning back.
Whatever you say.
Yes, sir. Knox Pro is returning back home to Sun Valley, ladies and gentlemen. And there's a lot that's going to be going on from this facility. Me and Keith were chopping it up on the way here. There's a lot of good stuff going on, and there is a bar. There is a bar inside this location. This,
Can you imagine having a bar with a bunch of wrestlers? God knows what will happen in there. You know what I mean?
But,
bar and a wrestling show, that's a pretty good mixture.
Yes, sir. So that's one of the things I'm looking forward to as well. But, there's a lot going on right now. There's a lot going on in the world of pro wrestling right now, Big Kish. The word right now, everybody is just up in arms about the releases that happened this week with R-Truth Killings and, of course, Carlito. Just to bring you up to speed, if you haven't heard already, R-Truth, Ron Killings, was released from WWE, and the crowd just they lost their minds. So they've been speaking out about it. And as a matter of fact, Gunther, The Miz, they all have unfollowed or took all WWE content away from their social media profiles, which is it's pretty telling, Big Kish. So first of all, before we even get started,
it sounds like it hit a nerve with a lot of people with R-Truth's release.
Let's get into this real quick, Big Kish. First of all, your thoughts on Ron Truth Killings?
He's one of those from for real. You talk about from day one-ish. You know what I mean? He's been a part of a good relationship with our family for many of years. I feel that Truth is a OG in the industry. Looks great. Can still work, can still hang with the best of them that's out there, and just an all-around good guy, a good business guy. I don't feel that at any given moment that Truth is the type of person that's difficult to negotiate with. And so to have a guy like that, out of the blues, I mean, he just had a match with
John Cena.
John Cena, main event.
Yeah.
I mean, and you know what I mean? And it was entertaining. It is what it was. But I would have never, I don't know. It just makes you wonder, man. How do you do that to a guy that just had you just gave him a main event match with John Cena, and then all of a sudden, he's got his release.
So the rumors out there, the scuttlebutt is John Cena knew that he was.
What'd you call it? Scuttlebutt?
Scuttlebutt.
Well, okay. Scuttlebutt. That's a new one, Scuttlebutt.
The ballyhoo.
Ballyhoo, Scuttlebutt.
The scuttlebutt on the streets, Big Kish, is John Cena.
That just sounds rough. Scuttlebutt. Like scratch your ass. It just sounds like it's itchy. Scuttlebutt, itchy butt. All right, go ahead.
So the word was that John Cena got, he knew that Ron Killings was going to get released. So he decided to show management, hey, listen, let's give this guy one last big profile match, and we'll show you he still belongs. And apparently it still didn't work. They let him go. So everyone's up in arms about this.
Well, big shout out to John Cena for going to bat for Truth.
Yeah, that's the word.
You know what I mean? That's just sign of OG respect to the next OG. But, if in case it did, I mean, you can't believe anything that happens that's out there.
Right.
You know what I mean? If that was true and that really did happen, the only person that probably knows is amongst those two. and the office. And so, but at the end of the day, it's the decision of the office, right? And this is what I mean about the wheel turns. Like, no matter how you play your cards there, even with some of these other new releases that's been released, in their mind, they probably even would have never thought that it was going to be them being released. But in this business of professional wrestling, there is no security of your job there. At any given, whether you sign a contract, right, it doesn't mean that you're there. Because in that WWE contract, if you read the fine print at any given time, WWE has the upper hand to just release you. And then, but my thing is this, big shout out to Truth, Ron Killings. Ron Killings has had one amazing career. What is it?
17 years. 17 years.
What is he, 53 now?
Oh.
He still have abs. He's past 50. He still has abs. He still can move. I mean, he's one of the funniest guys that's in the business as far as with promos. I mean, Ron Killings can do it all. For a minute, everybody thought that, okay, Ron Killings, the way they built him in certain promos. I didn't agree certain promos that they had him shoot, right? As if he was a black guy that didn't understand.
Right.
That was this, that was that. For me, I hated that. I hated that was the type of promo that, that whoever creative that was the best they had to write for. But guess what? Ronnie did it with a smile. Ronnie didn't take it to where it's like, he understands the game. Mm-hmm. The most realest thing to him was that bag, getting that every week. And so 17 plus years, a career run like that, hey, big shout out to Ron Killings. You in reality, Truth, you the winner, man. You the winner.
Yeah. So is it safe to say, Big Kish, you weren't a big fan of Little Jimmy?
Well, for a minute, it took me a while. I had to find who the is it, Little Jimmy? Like, damn, well, you need to quit smoking, Ronnie, or something like, you know what I mean? Or smoke before you talk about Little Jimmy. But hey, that's the the angle. That's the promo. That was that. You know what I mean? And I thought, he hooked people with that Little Jimmy. I mean, everybody in the whole arena was talking to Little Jimmy. Ronnie did it so good that he made everybody think that there's a real Little Jimmy.
That's right.
That's perfect your crafts, right?
This was a cool tweet that came out from your nephew, Jacob Fatu. He tweeted about our killings, and this is what he had to say. This the life right here, Oos. We do this so our kids don't have to see the other life we came from, dog. God first, family, laughter, game, love and knowledge. Always when it come to you. Love and respect, big bruh, and thank you. I thought that was pretty nice coming from Jacob to Ron Truth.
Yeah, well, R-Truth didn't die.
No, he did not. But the entire WWE universe is sad to see him go.
Yeah, well, okay.
So
I mean, the wheel turns. Okay,
yes, sir. And
Truth. Is Truth sad about it? No, I don't think so.
It didn't stop there. Carlito was then released as well. Yeah. And let's talk about Carlito. First of all, your thoughts on Carlito, because I believe, have you ever worked with Carlito?
All the time. Really? Back in the day for his father's
Carlos
promotion.
Colon.
Yeah, his father's promotion back in Puerto Rico. The Colones. That's another dynasty, you know what I mean? I mean, it's always been that too as well with the Samoan dynasty. And so, he comes from that second generation. Love Carlito. He's a good dude. I've been a part of the family for a minute. You know what I mean? Pretty much watch him grew up in the business. Good friend of my, my brother Eki. They both used to live out there in Houston together, and, him, Benjamin Shelton together, and I'd come visit my brother, and it was good to see those guys, around the same area. So they were not only close in the business, but close outside of the business. And again, hats off to both of them, R-Truth and Carlito. I can only speak on these two because I know these two very well. But they understand. I guarantee you, right now, these boys are plotting the next move on the hustle. Like, just because this has happened, and they knew it was going to come probably one day. They didn't know when it was going to happen, but they knew it was going to come one day. Or it was probably negotiated, So either or, like these two cats here, they're OGs in the game. They understand that the wheel turns in this business, right? And I can guarantee they're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, R-Truth and Carlito is going to be fine in or out of the WWE. And that's just business, right?
Yep.
You never say never, and you always remember this, that the wheel is always going to turn.
What would you have done differently with Carlito's booking, maybe? Because I know he was in the Judgment Day, and he was kind of relegated to like one of the helping hands. Because I've always been a big Carlito fan, and I just wanted to see him kind of. I was happy to see him return. What would you have done differently with Carlito? Maybe who would you have him if you were booking? If you're,
I would have let Carlito go off as Carlito.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, when he left, he was over, and then you bring him back. And you're like, okay, part of this faction, but you just threw the guy that was a headliner before and threw him in the back of the pile. And now that was all, every time I seen, like, whenever I flip through the channels and I see them doing their promo, what's Carlito's doing? Just standing there in the back. Not really, So for me, that's eliminating the talent of a person, of a person that can really, help into whatever the company, needs to be done. He can cut a good promo. He's a good worker. Here's the thing. He's a safe worker. So meaning if you build this guy and he happens to get steam and you put him into the right people of your big money, big bag talent, for instance, like Roman Reigns and Jey Uso, Cheeseburger Fatu, you can rest assured that Carlito's going to be able to hang and deliver not only a top quality match, but you can also understand and know that your investment in the Roman Reigns, the $1 billion man, that you're going to be safe with this type of cat. But it just never really happened. What was he, just a part of a faction? Every now and then, Carlito runs in and be a part of blah, 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 the bump taker to get, Carlito ain't stupid, man. He knows the game. He knew what his role was. You know what I mean? So I guarantee you, man, you sitting back, this is what we always do. You don't go bark at at the crew, the TV people, and why am I not on TV? Why am I not being pushed by? Because, that's a quicker way for you to get pushed right out the door. So big ups to him. He rode that, he rode the wheels till they fell off.
Really quick, Puerto Rico. Since we talked about Puerto Rico, what's the difference between working out there and the States? Because I always have the stories.
Well, for number one, you starve your ass off.
Really?
Yeah, really. Not really. Back when we used to work out there, me and Samu, we were there for 2 months. And, my Uncle Alpha sent us down there. We didn't know how much money we were going to make, but, Alpha was good with, Carlito's father, Colon. So we go out there. We was happy to be able to get booked. We go out there, we work. It was a great life. You were on the beach every day. You know what I mean? The trips around that small island was probably an hour from one end to the other end. The beer was great. The food was fantastic. The women was crazy. The atmosphere, the club vibe. As a young cat, man, you in heaven. You know what I mean? But after a while, when you reach in that pocket and that still empty, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, do I really want to do this? Like, I don't understand why my uncle sent us out here. And so when we won the belts, we figured, okay, we about ready to come up now, We can finally get us a little apartment and stuff. And, man, we won the belts and the checks just went lower and lower. And so what happened was, okay, lesson learned, you know what I mean? Like, I guess this is the part of the business here, what happens. So, we end up, I don't want to say being good friends with the supervisor from McDonald's, which was a chick. She was probably every bit of 320 pounds. maybe about 5'4".
Well, she worked at McDonald's.
She worked at McDonald's, and that breakfast every morning, sausage egg McMuffin and blah blah blah. So of course we was getting that on the low, and it was free. You know what I mean? But keep in mind, we the champions. We on TV every week on the island. So we roll up. We'd have that breakfast, so we got that. Now we knew where we can eat breakfast for free every night. And then there was this one club. After wrestling, there was this one club, and there was this a guy that he was a veteran in the Army, and Oos had one of them peg legs, right? So he you can hear his ass coming through, tink tink, tink tink, tink tink, tink tink. So anyhow, he was the bartender in this small, man, this little pub. It's probably it was so small that if we walked together, we would bump into each other. It was that, but he was the bartender. And he was the cook. And Joey, the one thing he made over there was these cheeseburgers, right? So he made these cheeseburgers. It was probably the best damn cheeseburgers I ever ate.
Wow.
So we'd go over there with us. And, of course, at that time, we working now, right? We the champ. And he used to watch us every weekend. So we'd walk over there. We'd bring the belts in. Now, that was the first time, probably the last time I ever took a championship belt in public. So I took the belt only so this guy here can take pictures with, and we can get free drinks and that free cheeseburger all the time, right? So there's the life of the wrestlers, tag team champions in Puerto Rico. Beautiful sunshine, but your ass is broke as hell, right? So after that, it didn't last but probably about a week after we won the belts. I woke up to go to TV, and I get a call from my Uso Samu. Samu called me, and he said, "Hey, just want to give you a heads up that I'm en route. I'm on my way home. Now, I'm headed to the building with the McDonald's lady, right? Because one of us got to,
Yeah.
Oh, she
got to jump on the grenade.
Well, she just want to see, show people that, she knows her. So every now and then, we'd switch rides. He would ride with just to make her feel happy so her friends and family can see her. So that just had to be my day. So he would call me that, I'm trying to find out what time he gets to the building. He says, "Oh, I'm at the airport." I'll say, "Okay, well, who's coming in?" He said, "No, this I ain't staying. I'm taking the belt and I'm taking off." I said, "Well, why the didn't you tell me? So I could have been with you." I said, "How did you get the ticket?" Because we was both broke. He went and told the office that he needed a ticket. He had a family emergency back home and blah, blah, blah. So he got one ticket rather than get two tickets for myself, and I didn't know what. So he took off. He's at home. He told the office, called and said, "Where are you at?" He says, "I want my money or you ain't going to get the belt." Now, here my ass stuck over there by myself. So I turned around. I left. I gave him the belt. I left. I said, this is dead here for me. There's no use for me to be here. So I had to scrounge some money to get out of there. And then I finally got back home. So this thing here happened, I don't know, maybe 3 months later. It's they run a big December show. Big, huge show in the stadium in Bayamon, Puerto Rico, where they have well over 20,000 people in the stadium. You had the likes of Invader that performed there, Bruiser Brody performed there, Abdullah the Butcher, the Wild Samoans. I mean, this was a huge event that they do, somewhat like our WrestleMania here. And so, I got a call back from the office. Samu had, got the belt, send them the belt, but Samu didn't want to go. So they asked me, "Is there another family member that you can bring so we can kind of have the belt and drop the belt to, properly?" I said, "Well, okay, let me find out." Of course, I had my younger brother. His name is Fatu. Well, he's a real high chief in our family. And he was also training, too, with Yokozuna back in the day.
Wow. And
they were called the South Pacific Fat Boys. And they were trained in the back of Uncle Sika's garage, his backyard. So anyhow, I asked him, hey, Os, you want to go to Puerto Rico? And like any new student, hell yeah. So I said, but here's the deal is you're only going to make $800. That's the booking, and they'll pay for your flight and your airline. Of course, I didn't. That's not what I made. I made way more. I negotiated, right? And so he was saying, hell, so he was excited. My brother was really he's the younger one out of me and TK, then him, and then it's Umaga underneath, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anyhow, we go there. As we go, he gets the 800. They're like 8 $100 bills. That's the most you've ever made or seen. And then before we do the deal and during the match, he was good. He was a good listener. But everything else that he was you could tell he was still green, but he was just in a moment. Like he would get in there and I'm trying to yell at tag out. And he's just, like he's in the moment, 20,000 people, and I get it. Yeah, I've done that before with Jacob. You've done the same thing with that. And so, after it was over with, it was a simple pin. They beat him with his finish. Carlos did 1, 2, 3. We came out, yada, yada, yada. Thank you very much. And so as we're going back now, we're getting ready to jump back on the flight. My little brother wants to stop by. You know how they got those banks in the airport?
Mm.
So he wants to stop by, and he wants to take these hundreds, and he wants to break these hundreds into dollar bills. So you get around the $800 in singles.
Was there a strip club?
No. He just wanted to go home with he wanted that rack.
Yeah.
It made him feel, it bless his heart. He was so excited to see that much money that he said, damn, I made this in, 5 minutes, and plus they flew me down here. And I was like, well, you're welcome. Yeah, you're saying all that, but it's not like Carlos gave a about you, we helped save this show.
Yeah.
And so, but anyhow, long story short, Puerto Rico, it survived. But, I don't recommend, if you're going down there as a student just to learn, make sure you have some type of money in the savings. You know what I mean? Because you can easily get caught up and starve out there unless you negotiate certain things. I don't know if Carlos and the office there has changed how they do business, but hopefully it has where they're not the wrestlers are not starved out there before because I believe they held your paycheck for like 2 or 3 weeks, and they did that because they didn't want you to jet to leave out of the country without because they feel if I hold your paycheck, well, I got a couple of your paychecks, so you're not going to leave because that money's there, or not, because we never got it.
Was this before? Obviously, this was before the incident that happened with Bruiser Brody, right?
Way before.
So,
man, I think we were. Damn, Joey, I think I was like 21 years old.
Wow.
Remember, I started training when I was 17, turned pro at 19. Then my uncle sent us all together to Egypt. Mm. Then we come from Egypt. Now we're going to Puerto Rico. I thought I was living a life. After that happened in Puerto Rico, we jet. Then my uncle booked us over there. WCCW World Championship Wrestling.
In Texas.
Dallas, Texas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's what I ran into. Oh, Lord have mercy.
The Freebirds and everybody else. Von Erichs. Wow. We'll get to that one day. We'll talk about your days over there. So, something else that happened I wanted to get your input on most recently was involving Alberto Del Rio.
Okay.
Alberto Del Rio went on a Spanish morning talk show and he beat the hell out of Vikingo, who's the father of El Hijo de Viking, who's he just signed with WWE, as a matter of fact. And this just brought on memories of like back in the days, like when Andy Kaufman went up with Jerry Lawler, and Jerry Lawler slapped the shit out of him. And we as fans, we get to see these moments happen throughout time once in a while. This one looked, people are going to say it's an angle. It was work. But I want to know, first of all, did you see this footage? He beat the living shit out of this.
I seen it.
Okay.
And so my input, I think it was a great work.
That's what I wanted to know.
Del Rio, he comes from a respected family.
Yeah.
I mean, the person there, everybody there in Mexico knows each other. His father was in the business. Dos Caras. I worked with Dos Caras when I was a young kid. So one of the best guys, Dos Caras used to team up with Connect and Mil Mascaras against me, Tonga Kid, and, the light Yokozuna back in the day. you know. And yeah, so I remember, you know, Del Rio back in the day with that, but you know, that happened. That was good heat to jump on an old man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? To build up the angle for whatever, you know. And if there wasn't no angle, there is now.
Yep.
Because they're waiting for that, you know, that son to come back and, you know, whoop that Del Rio's ass for putting his hands on Pops. You know what I mean? So I think it'll be good. Who knows? I feel maybe, let's just say, Del Rio knows that, you know, Triple I about ready to tie up with WWE.
Mm-hmm.
WWE is a business, man. They want the hottest shit that's out there. And if Del Rio's name didn't pop up within those negotiations, well, damn it, he gonna let the world see it.
That's right.
You know what I mean? That's just the smarts this guy got, you know? And we can't knock him for it. We can't knock him for all the other stuff that he does on TV. Is, you know, that's his way of keeping himself out there, keeping himself relevant, you know, of the Del Rio brand, good or bad, right? But any news is good news.
That's right.
You know, especially in his entertainment business. So we'll see.
Were you in Kuwait when Vader attacked that reporter and Undertaker was there?
No, I wasn't.
Oh, you weren't?
So take me back.
Yeah. So Vader attacked a host because the host, of course, started with his wrestling
and
fake.
this happened in the Middle East, Kuwait.
Yes, sir.
Vader's ass lucky he ain't had a damn ticking time bomb.
They put him in jail.
Yeah, it is.
Yep, and it took some work to get him out. So I was just wondering if you were there at that time, because I know you were definitely in the.
I mean, what the hell was Vader thinking?
Yeah.
You in a foreign country.
Yeah.
Right? In a foreign country, and you gonna try to put your hands on people with different laws out there.
Yeah.
You know, they're lucky. He's very lucky that they was able to let him out. Because it ain't about money now. Because they got all the money in the world. So somebody did some real serious talking, serious maneuvers to let Vader out that time.
Yep.
You know, but hell, man, I would have laughed my ass off if I was there. I said, damn, boy, you still just, you know.
I'd say probably the most famous tie-up between in a situation like this is probably Stone Cold Steve Austin and Mike Tyson. Do you? First of all, were you there as well?
Boston.
Yeah. Wow, Boston. What did you think of that?
I thought it was genius. I thought it was one of the greatest, greatest angles that, you know, falls in that category of icon matches. You know, I look for Stone Cold and Mike Tyson to have a Hall of Fame match thing, this new thing that they opened up with WrestleMania Hall of Famers. You know, they add on one of these iconic
moments,
matches.
yeah.
The moments. I mean, let's not, we can't, you know, deny or forget about a lot of those type of moments. But man, Mike Tyson, the crossover, you know, from boxing to wrestling, we need to give a shout out, big thank you to Muhammad Ali, because he was the first to do it. You know, he did it with, you know,
Antonio Inoki.
Antonio Inoki then came into wrestling here, and you know, did with the WrestleMania. You know, brought in Mr. T and all that stuff, Hulk Hogan, and you know, again putting them with the right people. Like, who best to sell that? You know, Roddy Piper. Damn, Piper can work with anybody. But Mike Tyson and Stone Cold, man, that was one entertaining plus match added to the deal of WrestleMania.
Wrapping up on Alberto Del Rio, when was the last time you heard from Ricardo Rodriguez, Knox Pro alumni?
Man, I haven't.
Is he still in Egypt?
No, he's not in Egypt. He's I think last time he contacted me, he was out there in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
I think he had a little federation, you know, helping out to run, you know, little independent show. And also, you know, I think he opened up a little school.
Okay.
And to be able to help train. But, you know, the last time I really was able to chop it up with those, you know, he was going through it. You know what I mean? He had a little, you know, we all have demons every now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, you know, the best thing was, you know, as I mentioned him, just get well. Yeah. You know what I mean? You can turn this, man. And, you know, I guess he was doing better because I see that he was out there opening his school, running, you know. And so, yeah, that'll be nice to, you know, to finally link up with one of the OGs of, Knox Pro. Yeah, he was one of the first students back there with you guys in Burbank.
Yep.
That small ass little building, man. The locker room was probably big as the men's bathroom, and it wasn't that big.
Yeah.
You know, and so it'll be great to hope he's doing well, and hope to see him soon. Yeah.
Yes, sir. A little fun fact out there for you guys. David Gangrel Kavika, he's had 2 teeth knocked out in his life, one by Stu Hart and one by Ricardo Rodriguez.
Damn.
Yes, sir.
What a plug.
Yes, sir.
I thought you. I have no idea why you brought up Ricardo Rodriguez. 'Cause
Well, I was talking about, Alberto Del Rio, because he used to be his announcer.
you just brought him up just to tell everybody that he knocked out David's teeth. Okay?
No.
You go, Ricardo.
I was tying him in with Alberto Del Rio.
This show is unscripted. I never knew Joey was going to ask me this about you, so he's going to take this heat by himself.
Little fun facts that I know about. The little ballyhoo and the scuttlebutt.
Now I know not for you to ever drop kick me. I like my teeth. Yeah.
Let's talk about Money in the Bank coming up this Saturday. So before we get into this Saturday, your daughter-in-law, Naomi, she secured a spot in the Money in the Bank match. She defeated...
Yay,
that's
Naomi,
right. Yeah,
yay,
that's
yay,
right.
yay.
She
All right.
defeated Jade Cargill and Nia Jackson. One match. That is huge. That is a huge victory. Your thoughts on
I
on
still
that
like
match?
Jade.
We all love Jade.
I said like. I didn't say love.
Well,
Yeah. Okay. Now we know
They both
you
start with
love
L.
Jade. You love Jade. I like Jade. And I love the Nia Jax
Okay.
family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's nice to have both family members in there.
Yeah.
Go figure. 2 bloodline members against 1 Jade. Man, somebody been listening to our podcast. Let me see what's a WWE creative.
Yeah, that's right. So what do you...
they took our idea.
What's your prediction for the ladies' Women in the Bank match?
Either or, bloodline up. Either or.
Okay.
Bloodline up. Whether it be Naomi or whether it be Nia Jax. I mean, I like you, Jade. I like you. But damn it, when you cross that line, girl, come on now. Come on, because I know you do the same thing. So let's go.
So I wanted to get your predictions on the men's Money in the Bank match, which is a huge match. And of course, your son, Solo Sikoa, is in it versus LA Knight, Seth Rollins, Penta, Andrade, El Grande Americano. That's a huge matchup right there. Your prediction on who's going to win the men's Money in the Bank match this Saturday?
Bloodline up. Solo Sikoa. All the way. We're going to put all the haters down. We're gonna silence the world. By the time Solo's hands gets raised up, I want Solo just to do what you know what the greats do in the business. When they want to silence the crowd, they just put that one finger up right in front of their lips. And it's like that. Just shh. Solo Sikoa up, Money in the Bank. I don't know. Let me go ahead and call it. Jacob Fatu, maybe? You see that? WWE, if you're listening, I think that'll be a great match that people want to see. Jacob Fatu versus Solo Sikoa.
It's been brewing.
Right? Fatu versus Fatu. It's good for business. I don't know. Maybe people say, oh, Kishi always talking, pushing his family. No, I'm not. If my family was in a part that can draw money, I wouldn't. Oh, I'm lying. I still would. Right? But still, it's like, okay, I'm speaking from a promoter's side. What makes sense to draw money? Because with TKO in the picture, with UFC in the picture, I mean, damn it, you can see the price changes with WWE. The normal family can, barely, right? So at the end of the day, they gotta produce good matches to bring that money in, man. You know what I mean? And those that are for the talent that's out there, the roster, right now you need to up your game, man. If you want to be a part of the playing team, you need to up your game in the squared circle, in and out the ring. Just to be a part of that train that TKO, UFC, and WWE's rolling on, because they rolling high.
Yep.
They rolling high. I mean, now going back to Vegas.
Yep.
Come on, man. Come on. So I'm gonna make a prediction. Solo and Jacob. SummerSlam.
Ooh.
Solo up. for Money in the Bank. Is Jacob on the Money in the Bank?
Mm.
Oh, they put the champ off.
Yep.
That must be nice, Jacob. Just collect a paycheck. Well, that's gonna be good then. You know, and then we have the dynasty bloodline, the females. Man, I hope they put that together, Joey. We talked about this a couple podcasts.
Yep.
Right?
And then a couple podcasts talked about us talking about it.
So that's what it seems like to me. We talk about it, then other podcasts put it on their podcast. They talk about us. And it'd be nice if you guys just hit the link and put us in your story since you're taking our story.
Just show a little love.
And you wonder why I don't do other podcasts. That's why.
Yeah.
You know? Because we're your one-stop shop for all news, bloodline.
Everything Bloodline. This is the podcast.
Right here.
No other podcast.
You know how much money I passed up on booking from podcasts? Just so I don't want to, because I just want to be, first news come out of our podcast.
I imagine it's a lot.
Yeah. So I believe what type of podcast we got. I believe what type of vibe we got. And I'm going after being the number one podcast in the country, in the world, for wrestling hip-hop.
Yes, sir.
We still doing it. We still, we climbing, we chopping left and right. But, I believe, the product that we have, it's a good product. We just out here having fun. When people tune in, like it's never scripted, it's never, you're going to tell me blah, 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 or none of that. Because I tell you, if I don't know what you're going to ask me, you're not going to get the best of me. So unscripted, that's the best way. I feel that, the fans are going to get the real, for real, out of Big Kish.
Yes, sir.
Right? And so hopefully everybody has, you enjoyed, what we're about a year and a half now, June. We're a year and a half now. Man, time flies.
Time flies when you're having fun.
And just the response that we're getting, from a lot of the, the YouTubers and, Spotify and all that stuff that's out there, Twitter and everything. Man, big shout out to all our fans, for appreciating the show, the time we put in. And it's, just a bunch of two cats. Bringing. I don't like to call it news. We just chopping it up of what whoever put out there, right? Whoever put out there, we just bringing all right. We just talking about what's hot out there, what's trending in the world of professional wrestling and hip hop. Speaking of hip hop, did you see that video of Cardi B with what's the new boyfriend's name?
I don't know what her new boyfriend's name is, but I'll tell you what.
Does he play football? Stephon Diggs.
Oh, no. But I saw that he was having a lot of fun. I saw that there was a lot of women around him. And call me kooky, call me wacky, but I don't think Offset got the same treatment. So if you were Offset, wouldn't you be hot? So I think Offset released a single, and on the cover, he's like all grabbing on some cakes. Yeah. That was his response. But yeah, if I was Offset, I'd be hot. Like no one... the new man's getting that kind of treatment.
Man, Stephon Diggs, boy. Please,
Offset needs to be happy. Offset needs...
Offset's, man, just move on, man.
Yeah.
Move on. Go cut another record with Migos or something, man.
Ric Flair.
Or not just reach out to this way, man. It's, Kishi and Offset.
That's right.
Let's go and do something, man.
There you go.
Let's do something. Bring in some juvenile.
I think that'd be a hotter collab than Offset and Ric Flair. Here we go, Big Kish. This is going to be the final prediction of Money in the Bank. This is going to be with Jey Uso teaming up with CM Punk to take on John Cena and Logan Paul. What are your predictions on that match? I'm sorry, it was Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. Sorry, CM Punk's not involved. It's Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, Jey Uso against John Cena and Logan Paul. What are your predictions on that match?
I'd have to go Cody Rhodes and Jey. They got to go up. What's good for business. I'd have to say that I'm going to call it Jey. It's going to be either Cody pinning Logan. I don't think John Cena is going to get pinned in this match. And then I feel somewhere there that there can be an after-match effect of heat getting on Jey. Maybe Jey comes back as he's leaving the arena, and here comes Paul to be able to continue that. And then I kind of see, man, do we see Cody and John for SummerSlam? I don't know. You know, I mean, there has to be some type of, you know, reason for booking these two tag team. I mean, I mentioned this. For me, I wasn't a fan of it because you got the world champion. We just won this thing here for Mania, you know, and I feel that, you know, there just should be, we need to have top-notch players to be able to feed towards Jay, you know, to be able to let Jay showcase his talent, let Jay, you know, continue that ride to be able to, you know, be that fans champion, you know, and so, but we'll see. That's just that's a father speaking on behalf, well, on my own behalf, but my thoughts about, you know, a father's son, right? Because I always think like, you know, well, he worked so hard to get to this top main event spot. Now, just, you know, don't hold it back now. Keep going. Keep going. Keep feeding them. Let's give Jay the dream matches where also he can test his skills because he's never really ever been in that position as a world champion by himself. You don't have Roman, you don't have Solo, you don't have Jimmy, you don't have Jacob. This is all about Jey Uso. So feed him, guys. Like, I mean, even if it's just a babyface match with Randy Orton, Randy has so much respect. Everybody knows what he's an icon legend, future Hall of Famer. But Randy can still go. And just to be able to have that dream match where you have the, you know, the younger guy being tested by the OG who's made a name for himself. Yep. You know, it's just it's a personal thing for wrestlers. You know, you want to be able to say, you know, I wrestled the best of the best in the business. You know what I mean? So let's see. Let's see where they go with it. You know, right now, it seems like, you know, they got Jay going up, you know, kind of in the mix with Paul. How, you know, how do we look at, do we take that serious? Do we not? Does the fan take it serious? Do they not? You know what I mean? And it all comes down to, you know, creative of booking, right? Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. Because I know damn well if I was booking, I'll bring the best out of the best because I want to see my son be the best. And that's my take on that.
Yes, sir. So that's going to all happen this Saturday. Money in the Bank, ladies and gentlemen. Tune in or tune out. Big Kish. You got any final words?
All good. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And remember, it's free to be kind to one another. And always, always smarten up. And we out. Manuia.
Manuia.